Day before Thanksgiving is often called Drinksgiving due to families and friends gathering at bars and restaurants to celebrate. Of course, that looks a lot different this year because of the pandemic, but what hasn't changed is how difficult this time of year can be for people in recovery from addiction. Here to talk more about it is Dr. Matthew Polacheck, Director of Outpatient Services for the Betty Ford Center. Thanks so much for taking some time to talk to us today.
Thanks for having me.
What are some basic tips for staying clean and sober during the stress of the holidays and COVID-19 for people who are in recovery?
Well, I think one of the most important things if you're going somewhere is you could bring a sober friend. You could also call people ahead of time, have a conversation. If maybe they'll remove alcohol, maybe they won't, but at least have that dialogue. You could do what I do at my in-laws and, well, don't tell them, but have an exit strategy. Already plan ahead if you need to leave early or something comes up where you're triggered. You could leave, take walks. You can do kind of self-centering exercises, like deep breathing. There's a lot you can do in the moment. And then there's general things you can do, self-care, connect with people, things along these lines.
Sober or in recovery, it's always good to have a plan to leave. What resources are there out there for people who are suffering from addiction as well as those who are in recovery right now? Because it's hard to do things in person.
Yeah, the hard part is we're isolated right now, and addiction is a very isolating disease. We have to physically distance, I get that, but we don't have to socially distance. And there's over 20 million Americans in recovery right now. There's meetings nonstop. Even, at Betty Ford Center, we've moved everyone into these virtual treatment settings where we can reach more people. So there's opportunities for people to get treatment out there. And then there's just, local free meetings people can go to, whether it's Smart Recovery, whether it's AA. There's so many resources out there. People just really need to reach out and try and connect.
Unfortunately, in recovery, there are relapses. If you have a loved one or a dear friend who has recently relapsed, what can you do to help them out?
I think the most important thing is to be direct. And I also think that people have to, if someone is currently intoxicated, wait. You don't have to have the conversation right away, but when you do have it, you want to be direct and you want to plan ahead of time. You might only get one shot at this conversation. So gather other loved ones, talk to professionals, do what you have to do to really make that direct conversation, but don't dance around. Be direct with the person and have that conversation, because in today's world with addiction, especially, we look at opiates and other, really dangerous drugs, you might not get that second conversation. So really take advantage and be direct.
Dr. Polacheck, I only have about 30 seconds. I wanted to ask you, I have some friends in recovery, and they've said that being in a program and having that as a support system has actually helped them deal with the pandemic better than they think some of their friends have.
It's interesting because the pandemic has been really isolating, and the CDC said 41% of adults are reporting struggling with mental health, substance use, suicidal ideation. So we're already isolated, but people in recovery know how to connect, and the opposite of addiction is community. So it's really connecting with that community, and people in recovery are great at that.
Dr. Matthew Polacheck with Betty Ford, thanks for shedding some light and talking about Drinksgiving this year and how people can stay sober or get help if they need it.